It felt like Arsenal made a statement at the Emirates today. 2 goals from surprise scorer in Zuber Mendy. Viktor Gyökeres, the big money striker signing, getting on that score sheet as well too. The reason why I'm saying it was a statement is because at the moment, not everything is going in favour for Arsenal. There are some injuries to key players. Saliba, players like Kai Havertz. Of course, at the start of the game, Odegaard is coming off, getting replaced by NiiNiiFC. But the statement is that Arsenal now are better equipped to deal with this type of adversity working against them. And you could see how other players are shining, even through the absence of your stars like your Sakas, Havertz's, Salibas, etc., etc. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you're going to feel more optimistic. You're going to feel more confident that the players you bought this summer are ready to maintain the level set. Christian Mascera today, 21 years old. I think one of the surprise low-key signings of this entire window because he's instantly just adjusted to the quality at Arsenal. At 6'3", his build-up from the back, his physicality in the duels. If you were looking for someone to be that replacement, yeah, for a Saliba, this is the perfect regen to have in the weights. And the fact that he was bought for under 20 million, one of the bargain buys of the entire window, and it felt like everything good that Arsenal did from the back did come from Mascera. So if you're an Arsenal fan, you've got him putting in big performances. You've got Noni Madueke. I have to say, I'm a Chelsea fan, in case you guys don't know. But the whole rhetoric and narrative around Madueke going to Arsenal was just complete nonsense. I never agreed with it from the start. Chelsea fans were being too fickle and too cynical and were disparaging his game. Arsenal fans were getting a bit ridiculous and a bit stupid, I have to say, by just instantly just having no faith in the signing. Now, for a neutral like myself or a Chelsea fan who's quite objective, Madueke was one of our strongest, if not the best winger for us last season. His output wasn't less than Neto or anyone else's. And all this talk of Madueke improving overnight now that he's signed for Arsenal is incorrect because it's actually people now viewing him in a more objective manner. Because over the last 2 seasons at Chelsea, his game has been slowly improving and increasing in terms of his team aspects, in terms of how he takes the ball on against his opponents, in terms of his link-up play, in terms of things like his crossing, his in-swinging crosses, his ability to take his man to the byline to whip in across as well. This is one of the most effective, dangerous wingers in the last season and a half now in the Premier League. And I guess he's now finally getting his dues outside of just performances for the national team now because Saka isn't there. And now the attention is we need a talisman on that right-hand side. And the fact that Madueke hasn't decreased the standards on that right flank, I think he's now being seen in a more fairer light, which actually reflects the quality that he's shown now over the last 12 months. So that's an objective take from a Chelsea fan who, listen, if I had it my way, he'd probably still be part of my squad alongside your Esteval's, Garnachos and Jamie Gittins, in my opinion. But today, he was one of the key players in disrupting Nottingham Forest's defensive plan. Now, saying defensive plan in Nottingham Forest is a complete injustice. I don't know what the hell Forest were doing today. Yeah, anytime Arsenal got on the ball, if they funnel the ball to the left side, the right side, Forest were just like dogs chasing their tail. There was no real strategy or structure. Maybe you could argue, if you want to be a bit objective, okay, Postecoglou's only just come in. What real time has he had to assess the team? Get any ideas across? So it was an amalgamation of like the old Forest under Nuno and Postecoglou wanting his team to get on the ball more. And it just meant that Forest looked kind of lost, in my opinion. There was no real emphasis behind any game plan. And you could see that defensively. Morata up against Madueke time and time again, getting dusted. Of course, Murillo had to step out a lot as well to double up against him to help. But that just kind of disorganized their entire back line, stretched the midfield. And I think it was no surprise that Arsenal took advantage today of capitalizing on the spaces between the lines, taking advantage of the spaces in Nottingham Forest's defensive structure. And this is the power of having great 1v1 wingers who can consistently get past their man, effectively create danger, combined. And Madueke was at the heart of everything today. He completed the most dribbles today, I think 4 out of 7, 5 key passes, which demonstrates that he's not this head-down winger with no end product, which was the craziest narrative. Guys just lying on his game. But listen, in the social media age as a football fan, you'll never really get the full truth behind anything because man's emotions overrides what they see objectively on the field, right? But I think now that Noni has that platform now where looks like he's finally respected, I think Arsenal fans are definitely eating their words after how so many of them were sending for this guy and just had no faith or ability in what he was doing. But he was at the heart of everything, stretching Nottingham Forest, allowing the midfield like your Marinos and co to make those runs inside the box. And that's where Arsenal found a lot of their joy, really just disrupting and nullifying this Nottingham Forest team. But outside of that, there was also more promise that you could see. And also interesting talking points. I think Eze had maybe a game of 2 halves. Of course, he's only just signed. He's playing on the left-hand side. And ideally, you'd prefer to have that overlapping maybe left fullback who can allow Eze to tuck inside a bit more. It did feel like this role that Marino played in midfield today will take a bit more time for him to be fully in sync with Eze. Times where Eze's coming inside, Marino might stretch the play. Times when Calafiori's inviting as well, he'll know better when to make timers overlap to stretch and ensure the width is created. But Eze, still with this first type of creative action, played a superb assist to find Viktor Gyökeres, and that's the type of service Gyokeres is going to be relying upon. There was much talk in the Arsenal fan base of Eze being kind of key to kind of unlocking Gyokeres. And I can kind of understand that. I can kind of agree because Gyokeres, he won't be getting 50 touches of the ball in a game. A lot of his stuff will be just unrelenting ability and the unrelenting desire mentality to find himself in the right positions. Most times, you're not going to get profited because if you're up against a rest defense who are minimizing spaces and disrupting you and trying to force the ball backwards, you might have to make that run maybe 3 more times just before someone finds you. But the fact that Gyokeres, of course, ended that counter-attack right at the end, doing what good strikers do, peeling off to the far post, evading where the rest of the Forest defenders were trying to stop that ball. It was a simple tap-in, but again, the simple stuff in this game is always the best stuff. And I think full credit goes to Eze, who made that ball across the goal first time look absolutely easy. But that's what the best players do. That's what the top players do, right? So it's good to see the actions between Eze and Gyokeres continuing to, I guess, help Arsenal's cause. But obviously, I can't go on with this review without talking about Zuber Mendy in this game today. Now, I don't think this guy was scoring goals like this when he was playing for Sociedad. He was getting under fire a little bit from Arsenal fans for his performance against Liverpool. Guys are like, have you just signed a more expensive Jorginho, keeping the ball sideways? But if anything, just like other Arsenal signings, are showing this quick adaptation to the Premier League. And you saw that, especially in that second goal he scored, where he overpowered his man, running at the far post, attacking that in-swinging cross, making it 2-0. But obviously the goal that you want to really just focus on a little bit was the opening goal. And against teams like Forest, we're kind of sitting up a little bit. You want to get that first goal. It's so crucial. It's so key because that disrupts their plan and it forces these men to have to come out. And Zuber Mendy scored one of the goals of the new Premier League season. I love the technique behind his volley. Maybe it took the slightest deflection, but even then, that doesn't take away from the quality that you saw. Again, Noni Madueke winning that corner. It's coming inside the box. Deflects out of the box. And Zuber Mendy showcasing world's class technique by not smashing that ball, but directing it. Yeah, that was the technique. Using the momentum of the ball in his favor. And guys like him, I've always felt like these passing metronome style players, they have maybe a greater feel of the ball. So I think they have it in their locker to produce these types of outstanding moments where, you might not expect it. Gyokeres was saying post-match that he hasn't been seeing this guy doing this in training sessions. Where did it come from? But players that just have that innate feel for the ball, the flight of the ball, the weight of the ball, they can produce these types of moments. And it was an exceptional goal to have the confidence to produce that. And later on in the game, he tried it again, demonstrating the technique he has with like a dipping effort with the top of his boot. And if he was maybe like 7-10 yards out, that could have potentially dipped into the goal, and he scored 2 volleys in a row, which is just out of this world. So if you're an Arsenal fan, it's been a very good day for you at the Emirates. You've learned a lot more about your team, but most importantly, you're seeing a squad now that is better equipped to deal with Premier League demands. You've invested wisely, adding Gyokeres, adding Eze to the team, Madueke to help with the carrying threats, taking responsibilities away from Martinelli, who can be a little bit iffy. Defensively, you've improved as well too. In Campe, not even touch the pitch. Mascera coming through. And then you have talents like Manieri and Dalman also on the pipelines, ready to come through, with your key guys eventually coming back in some capacity. If this team at the moment maintains their form before the big guys come back, it could be an interesting season for Arsenal this season. So that's my review of Arsenal's 3-0 win against Nottingham Forest. You guys, share your thoughts and opinions. Do you feel like Arsenal can make a statement this season? Or do you think it'll be like another case of history repeating itself? Let us know how you're feeling. Get involved in the chat, and I'll catch you guys at more reviews. Love, cool.